Hi there, good morning. I'm Chris Searles. I am the drought breaker, rainmaker, moisture circulator guy from biointegrity.net. I'm talking to you on Sunday, April 13th. And I wanted to talk to you about the Central Texas Projects 2025. The Central Texas Projects have launched. I'm off and running. I've just done 4 days of watering in Harper, Texas. I'm headed to Lakey later today. And the Central Texas Projects covers from down near Campwood and Lakey at the south end of the state over here to all the way up to Dallas, really the central corridor of the state. We'll get to that in 1 second. The techniques that I'm using to rehydrate, which you see in this picture here, essentially focusing on drips on the root ball of large trees, the largest trees I can work with. These techniques can be used in times of fire and in times of drought to moisten the air, which is what's been happening here miraculously. We're downwind of Harper, where I've been working, and it's just getting greener and greener here without rain for days and days. And so this will limit wildfire. It will probably keep it from happening. My experience so far is that we can radically eliminate wildfire risk and knock wildfires out with these techniques when you employ them the way I'm doing them. But we can each do a small part as well and cumulatively have the same positive impact. This is because trees are the moisture circulators over land. This is kind of the biggest breakthrough, in my opinion, in science over the last 10 or 20 years, and it's not popularly understood yet. We think of trees as good or bad. They're all good. They all circulate moisture over the landscape. If we lose trees, we gain drought. We've been taking trees out as fast as we can for a couple hundred years, and it's starting to catch up with us. So we need to restore moisture circulation in the air over central Texas, which I'll show you in a second the plan. And to do that, we have to rehydrate our droughted trees. They do the rest of the work. This is exceptionally water efficient. I think it's probably the most water efficient solution to anything in the world. So I can safely say that for a few thousand gallons, we can move moisture over hundreds of miles of vegetated landscape just by putting it in the right trees, in the right place, upwind of where we're trying to benefit. And that's been vetted out in the last 4 days. Again, here, working in Harper. All right, so I started in Harper, Texas on Wednesday, April 9th. The results have been phenomenal. The people there also phenomenal. I love getting back out into Texas, my home state, and hanging with my people that are here also. It's just, we're warm-hearted in this state. So I hope I meet you soon, and I hope we get to do some tree watering in your area soon. The reason I'm doing this is because the Central Texas drought crisis we are currently in is probably the worst in known history, and probably the worst of the last several hundred years, thousands of years, based on the little bit we know about the ecology before the colonists came in the Spanish record. We had a much more lush, variated landscape. Now we have a pretty dry one because we've done so much devegetation for various reasons. But some parts of Central Texas, particularly Kerrville, Medina, the real center of Texas, have been in exceptional drought most of the last several years, since 2022. And I play music from time to time with this great Texas treasure, Casper Rawls. And Casper lives down near Helotes, Texas. Casper told me the trees are splitting in half down here. And so I went for about 22 hours of survey driving a few weeks ago around Central Texas, the forested region, to see what's going on. And that's when I decided we got to get started as fast as we can. We have to water trees and forests. And we'll utilize the methods that I've already shown to myself and I'm trying to show the world are so impactful, so effective, so consistent and reliable to do this, and we'll see what happens. So I've been working on Texas since 2022. I learned how to do this in the Austin area. What I've done with strategic watering and what I call securing forests, which is putting soil back onto the land so that you can gain moisture circulation and gain rehydration throughout the year, rather than where we are now, which is very eroded, and we're cutting too many things, we're drying things out more to try and get the water onto one tree. when in reality what we need to do is give it more infrastructure so it can hold the water it has and pull more water towards it. But I've been working on all this since 2022, and things worsened dramatically in the winter of 2025, what we just got out of. January, February, March. Rains were low, and we saw the whole system of Central Texas shift back into just catastrophic drought, all the way up into the middle of, or the edge of Hays County and Travis County. And so this just proves the area is super brittle, and we have got to get to work on rehydration of our trees. The common thought now is that you cut trees to help. You don't have to do that. In fact, again, that's worse. You want to give them a little bit of water. If we could get each person watching this video, each of us did 10 gallons a tree once a month for the biggest trees that we have, we can adopt, or that we have where we live or where we work, this would radically help the areas that we're trying to address right now. So when I did this survey drive a few weeks ago, I saw tens to hundreds of thousands of dead live oaks and fire-prone trees everywhere in this central corridor of Central Texas. And we can turn this around. I'm confident we can turn this around. There's a lot more on the science I utilize with this. There's a lot more on how I utilize the science and how to do this on our website, biointegrity.net. That'll be for future videos. For right now, I want to show you the plan. It's so simple. It's just a new way of thinking about how we get ourselves out of these problems. So, if you would please, check out the map here. So, this is obviously not the best drawing of Texas, but this is good enough for our purposes. The green dots here are showing what is essentially the remainder of a forest infrastructure in the center of Central Texas. Down in this bottom end here, we have Uvalde area. And so far, I have worked in the Uvalde area, all around Austin, Travis County. And so what I'm now doing is working over here in Harper. And the goal is to start moving moisture into this area, particularly just outside of San Antonio. So San Antonio is here, and Helotes is around here. And by working from Harper, I'm able to send moisture flow through the system this way. And where I go next is Lakey, which is roughly around here. And I'm going to try and do the same thing, send moisture this way. Where I will probably go next for the final of the first three waterings is the Gray Forest Helotes region here. And so then I'll have basically a triangulation. And this as well should start to send moisture around. And so you see that it's a little bit messy there with the markers, but you see all the blue in here. The green is the forest infrastructure that's more or less here. A lot of it is small trees and shrubs, but it's more or less here. This is a forested area, the Edwards Plateau. And then we've got this super dry wound in the middle. The rest of it is also in drought crisis. This whole thing is really in drought crisis. But the center part is in extreme drought crisis. So that's the emergency zone that I'm dealing with by doing 500 to 1,000 gallons of water per day in my strategic site. First Harper, that's almost done. Next Lakey, and then hopefully after that Gray Forest area. I'm going to keep moving around, and so you'll see hopefully a longer version of this plan video with a little more professional presentation in the near future. But this is the basic plan. And what happens is the moisture that's coming over all the way across from sort of California, New Mexico, Colorado, down this way, and Baja, it all comes up and it wants to go into this area. Same thing with the coast. It wants to feed into this system. Just like in East Texas, we've got all this forest over here around Tyler and everything that's still relatively intact. The moisture off of these off of the oceans is attracted to these forested systems. So the more hydrated the forest is, the better it can control the way moisture attraction takes place. All right, hopefully that's enough of a description of what we're doing. I wish I were a better artist for you. But let me just wrap up by saying thank you for watching. We are brittle here, all over Texas, all over the United States, but we're starting in Central Texas, and we need all hands on deck. As I mentioned, I'm pretty confident we can turn this around. Here's what you can do. Water trees and forests, 10 gallons per large tree once a month in a trickle bucket. Once a month, 10 gallons per large tree. If you have 10 trees, that's 100 gallons a month. If you have one tree, that's 10 gallons a month. Trickle bucket. The trickle bucket should take 30 to 60 minutes each to drain. They just go dip, 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 dip of a 5-gallon bucket, something that can hold a good amount of water. If the water goes in cold, it works even better than if it's warm or lukewarm. You can also donate to BioIntegrity in these efforts. We're more or less kind of self-funding still right now because this is such a new way of approaching things. It's clear in the science, but I'm the only science-oriented person I know who's taken it out of the academy and put it into practice, rehydrating forests strategically to move moisture over large landscapes. Another thing you can do is follow the social media, the BioIntegrity stuff that's out there. My stuff is on Facebook. Anything to spread the word, share the techniques, share the journey would be so helpful. Every person can do this at one level or another. And then finally, I'll start posting the locations of the watering sessions. I'm going to be at Camp Live Oak in Lakey this week. Wonderful people there as well. Then I'll be back in Austin next week, Earth Day week. And yeah, let's do stuff. Let's water trees and forests, Texas. Let's get it going. Thanks for watching.